tobacco.
For older ones, I like when parents say grass.
Oh, jazz cigarettes.
Jazz cigarette.
That's a good one too.
The devil's cabbage.
Yes, yeah.
Or lettuce? Jazz cabbage. Devil's lettuce.
I think it's interchangeable.
What, ganja?
Uh-huh, yeah.
I like ganja.
It's classic.
Just green. Hydro.
Oh.
Indo.
Uh-huh.
Chiba?
Chiba.
Never heard that?
No.
Buddha?
No.
Skunk?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that's if it's bad. Sticky icky?
Oh, yeah.
I also like trees.
Trees.
Yeah, just trees.
Oh.
That's a common
I haven't
one.
heard that one.
Oh.
Huh. Am I really out of touch?
No, you just listen to different music than I did in the 90s.
I really do.
All right, well, I guess we should get started.
Yeah.
Well, welcome everyone to a very special episode of I Love This, You Should Too. My name is Indy, Sticky Icky Randhawa, and with me is my lovely, beautiful, talented co-host, Samantha Chiba Randhawa.
Oh, okay.
Smoke that Chiba.
I don't really understand that one, but I'll take it.
Some yerb.
You're a yerb.
Some chronic? Did I say chronic?
No, you didn't say that, but
That's a
that is
good one.
Yeah.
So we're talking weed slang because we're talking about the movie Friday today.
On Tuesday.
It is a Tuesday, but you know what? It's Friday in my heart.
It's Friday in my heart.
You gonna take a hit off this yerb, Sam?
No, thanks.
So it is Tuesday. We're talking Friday. It was my choice to pick a movie this week, and I went with a movie that I loved as a pretty much, like when it came out, I was 12-ish. So like 12 through 17, I probably watched this movie a lot. Really enjoyed it. It was a big part of, I don't know if that's your childhood, my adolescence, perhaps.
Yeah.
Big fan of Friday. And I haven't revisited in a while. Samantha, on the other hand, had never even heard of this movie, which I was surprised with because culturally it is a very big and I dare say an important movie in the world. But Samantha had never heard of it. We watched it last Friday. So Samantha, I loved this movie. Did you?
It was fun. I didn't love it. I liked it.
What did you like about this one?
I thought it looked really cool. Like they did a good job of like building the set of this movie and making it like a little neighborhood.
Oh, the set of the neighborhood.
What?
You think they had a set?
Yeah.
No,
it's a movie.
They just shot it in South Central.
Oh, okay.
It's on the block where the director lived.
Oh, that's why it looked so
it looks
real.
It looks very authentic.
Because it is.
Because it is.
Okay,
yeah.
that makes more sense. And I liked the kind of the big personalities of all of the like big characters in this movie.
Just kind of the mosaic of the neighborhood.
Ensemble,
all of these people.
yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that and just how like different they all were, sort of.
From each other or from you?
All of the above.
Mm-hmm.
It's one that I've never experienced most of that stuff. And so, yeah, I felt like it was like a stepping into a different reality.
I'm happy with that because that was kind of what I was talking about when I chose this movie, that I was thinking of, oh, well, I'm going to show you these international movies of places you've never been to, and it'll broaden horizons or whatever those lofty ambitions are.
Uh-huh.
But then there's also so many things that are a little closer to home, a little more accessible, that also you don't have a lot of experience with. So let's explore that too. And
Exactly.
I think this is a great movie for that. To me, still holds up. We did watch the director's cut, so there were a few things that I hadn't seen before. Mm-hmm. But the downside is it lulls a slight amount more because it's, I think, 14 minutes longer. And when I watched it, I was like, oh, I like those new scenes because I hadn't seen them before. But then I also thought, we trim off about 10 minutes, it would be tighter. And that's just the theatrical release. So the release that most people are used to, yeah, I think that does work better than the director's cut.
Okay. That was one of my questions that I had for you was like, how did it differ? Because obviously I've never seen the theatrical release. I've only seen the director's cut. So
right off the beginning, it's a little bit longer and they go into some other characters more. And there's one shot that I think is cool to have in it. It's Ezel and he's running with a bunch of boxes. And you're like, what is this for? But I know the movie, and Craig got fired because somebody stole a bunch of boxes that looked kind of like him from the back.
right.
It was Ezel.
Oh.
So that's a fun little one.
That's fun.
But the rest of it was, yeah, there's a little more clarification. Scenes go a little bit longer. Not too much was that different. So, yeah, I don't mind the director's cut. I think it's fine. It's cool to see that extra little bit, but not the most necessary.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe we can start off by talking a little bit about how this movie was made. Mm-hmm. Because I did also watch the making of featurette on the DVD. Because why wouldn't I?
Why wouldn't you? That's research for the podcast.
Yeah. So DJ Pooh and Ice Cube wrote this movie. And the thinking was that there were starting to be more movies that took place specifically in South Central LA and just like the hood in general. And they would fit one of two formats. One either being kind of tragedy porn of look at all these terrible things that are happening and only the luckiest get out. And sometimes you get an inspirational story of someone who is an athlete or later on a rapper and they get out, and there's often like a white savior role in those. And that was kind of all we were seeing of that world. And this is pre-internet, so you don't really have access to it. You have musicians who are coming out of there, and you have these movies, and that's our only insight into, like, honestly, in Canada, that's what we get of Black American culture. Mm-hmm. We didn't have a lot of it. So they wrote this movie showing, like, we're just like anyone else. I think that was kind of the leading thing, and they just wanted to show a day in their neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of the brilliance of it in its simplicity, that it is just that one day. And it's just like, here's some things that happen. And I actually like that kind of narrative form of here's just things that happen. I didn't need it to be driven. And it does get driven towards a plot more with Smokey needing the money and that kind of stuff. But it is pretty much them just hanging out and things happening around them. And we get to see all of these characters that pop up, and they're always a lot of fun. Apparently, each one of them was based on a different real-life person that one of the two of them knew.
That's fun.
They had a lot of trouble finding financing for it. So at the last minute, New Line Cinema, the house that Freddie built, comes in and provides the money. And they're also incredibly lucky because they take a very hands-off approach. So they say, you get final cut, directors, writers, you do all of that. The only thing we want input in is the casting. Because originally it was going to be DJ Pooh playing Smokey and Ice Cube playing Craig, because they were the writers and they were going to do this movie together. Mm-hmm. But the studio wanted a comedian, someone who's like of some name. DJ Pooh, I don't think had been in anything before. At least Ice Cube had been in Boys in the Hood before this, which is a very good movie in its own right, but very different. Kind of one of those movies that they were trying to get away from a little bit. And so they go out and they get Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker had just been doing stand-up. He'd done like Def Comedy Jam and that kind of stuff. So he was known a bit, as much as a lot of the people were. But Ice Cube is like an interesting one too, because putting Ice Cube in a comedy in 1995 is a risk. He had been in a movie before, but he's kind of like playing himself. I don't think there were pictures or video of Ice Cube smiling before 95.
Oh.
Like he's from NWA.
Like a very serious.
He had like a bunch of solo albums by this point coming out. And was Lethal Injection 94? I'm not entirely sure. That's my favorite. A lot of people rank that third, but you know. And so he was hard, right? He doesn't, he's not a comedic, lovable kind of light guy. Everyone thinks of Ice Cube as being someone who's like serious, hardcore, and that's what he's known for. So putting him in a comedy is a big risk in itself. They get F. Gary Gray to direct, and he had known Ice Cube. They'd done the video for It Was a Good Day. Today Was a Good Day? What's that song actually called? But you know the one I mean. So he did the video for that and hadn't done a movie at all before. But they'd worked on a few videos together. So Ice Cube gets F. Gary Gray. He signs on. And he goes on to do a lot of other stuff after this. This was his first feature, but he'd done so many big music videos. A lot of like Will Smith, R. Kelly. He did the Miss Jackson video for Outkast. And then after this, he goes on to do a few different Denzel movies. He did that remake of Italian Job. And then Straight Outta Compton, which is kind of a biopic of Ice Cube.
Oh, I didn't know that was about him. I never saw it, but it was like a huge thing for a while.
It's about NWA, and one of the founding members is Ice Cube.
Oh, okay.
And I think he did a Fast and Furious movie too. I think he did the 8th one.
Oh, he's everywhere.
So he, like F. Gary Gray, goes on to have a big career, and it was launched from Friday. There's a lot of people, really, we're going to talk about who, Friday launched a lot of careers. A lot of really talented people came out to work on this movie because it gave a chance to people who weren't established but had something to them. They could see through Gray's music videos, from Tucker's stand-up. They could see that there's talent here. And it came through. So they shot this in less than 3 weeks. I think it was 20 days, which is insanely fast.
I was going to say that seems like not enough time.
And also they're shooting on location. It's not on set. So that makes it more difficult because you have to deal with, the sun.
Right.
People don't realize how much the sun messes everything up, or lack thereof. It's tricky. And where they were shooting, it was on the street where the director Gray grew up.
Right.
So one of the scenes, like the flashback, I think it's the flashback where Debo knocks out Red for the first time. And that is in F. Gary Gray's house, just in his front yard, where he grew up. And they were just down the road from it shooting the rest of this. And they couldn't wear red anywhere in this movie. You'll notice that nobody wears red because this was Crip territory, so you couldn't walk around wearing red.
Oh, I never considered that.
And because there were so many comedians in this, there's a lot of ad-libbing. Well, the things you always hear from movie makers is the hardest things to work with in film are children and animals. And Gray added on comedians, because comedians don't just say their lines. Like actors, they say the lines. And comedians are just like, I'm just being funny. I'm just riffing here.
Yeah.
And when you're editing, that is trouble, because both Chris Tucker and John Witherspoon are ad-libbing constantly. They're never saying lines the same way twice because they're just coming up with funny stuff, which works in the movie. But when you are directing or editing, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I bet.
Did this movie feel dated to you?
A little bit. Like, it definitely seemed from a different time, which makes it sound like it's like the
30 years old, which it is.
Yeah, actually, huh? But like, it just seems like a different time in our lives.
What makes it dated?
I feel like some of the fashion, which I always notice, like the references that they make and stuff, like the way that they speak seems a little bit like older style. You don't hear that as much now.
Oh, I'm curious as to which ones, but do you have examples?
I don't have an example. I just, And then, I don't know, like, I think just because this isn't like a world that I'm like really familiar with, or like, I felt like some of it was like, oh, I bet if I grew up in this like time and I was like a little bit older when this was happening, I'd know a little bit more about it maybe. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I feel like some of it was just like me not knowing. Like I feel like it was a little bit lost on me sometimes.
Because I'm wondering if I don't find it dated because it's nostalgic to me and therefore is like kind of frozen in my mind, or if there's something like timeless about this. And I think there is something. Of course, there's always things like phones, just how phones work, things like that are going to date it, or if this is just some sort of idealized thing in my mind. And of course, they don't live like an ideal life, but the idea of just hanging out, everyone just being like with each other, and this sense of community, I guess that doesn't exist so much anymore. So when I say that seems timeless, but maybe it's nostalgic and not timeless, because now you don't just sit out and
people drop by.
Yeah. Although like when we're out in the summer and I'm like working in the yard and neighbors come by and stuff, it kind of gives you that same sort of thing.
A little bit,
and our neighborhood has a bit of that.
A little bit, yeah. We definitely have like chattier neighbors and people are like moving around a little bit more. But yeah, that sense of community is definitely not as normal as it was.
Yeah, and that's a shame.
With like phones and stuff, I feel like I can check in on people without like making the trek over to see them.
Sure. And I think that's part of it. And I think it's also just cultural, because here, more than half the year, you can't sit out in your front yard.
Yeah.
So there's that. And I think there's places, like small amount of time I spend in the South, it's more there. I guess when you get into suburbs and stuff, it's less there because there's just like the space doesn't accommodate for that. But I think there's that in places still. But maybe what it is that seems kind of timeless to me is the characters and their individual struggles are still very relatable. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what it is. Do you want to talk side characters and who some of your favorites are?
Yeah, let's do that.
Who did you like?
I liked the two, like obviously we were talking about side characters, but I thought that the two main characters were really good.
Oh, sure. Let's talk main characters instead. How did you like Ice Cube's performance?
I liked him. I thought he was fun and like a pretty good comedic actor for you just telling me that he like didn't smile before this movie came
Not that
out.
I knew of.
Yeah, like he was like a likable guy and I feel like he's so still in entertainment and everything. He's more mainstream now that I feel like I enjoyed him because he is familiar.
I don't think it's a particularly good performance.
No?
No, but it doesn't have to be. Mm-hmm. He's like, you need the straight man there.
Yeah.
And you can tell that like everyone else is ad-libbing and he's always doing something like, oh, but remember, we had to get to the store or whatever it is. Like, and that's good. We need someone to do that.
Yeah.
And you can't be big. If you were as big as Chris Tucker, this movie would be impossible to get through. If you had two of those going back and forth. So I think he is good for what he does. Mm-hmm. And he probably knows like where his talents lay and leans into that a bit. And I think it works. So yeah, I did like Ice Cube in this. So I was saying before, like, oh, I'm sure once you see him, you'll know who Chris Tucker is. Was that the case? Do you know Chris Tucker?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm just looking at his Google page to see what else he was in.
Because that's interesting, because his movies, he has several movies that he was a star in that made over $100 million. But like I was saying, your movie tastes don't cross everywhere. Yeah,
I don't think I've really seen anything else that he's been in, just based on like what comes up on Google. But I liked him. He was like kind of fun and wacky to like Ice Cube's more like seriousness. And so it was like a fun play off of each other. And like it was fun to see Ice Cube's character like rein him in a little bit occasionally, because he does like kind of go off and like get real crazy. But yeah, I liked him and I thought he did a pretty good job.
He's an interesting guy because his career like blew up after this. So there was 3 Friday sequels. Mm-hmm. There's or 2 came out, and I hear there's going to be a 3rd one. Oh, and Chris Tucker isn't in any of those. Oh, and I think his quote was because he was making that Jackie Chan money after this.
Oh, because he was in all the Rush Hour movies,
right. Which I think had 3, and maybe I think there's a 4th one of those maybe on its way. But he did a few other things, like he was in The Fifth Element and pretty big in that. Jackie Brown, which had so many people in it. And I think he had this weird role in Silver Linings Playbook, a movie I really disliked. But so he didn't do like a lot, but his Rush Hour franchise was big. And it seemed like for a while he was all over the place, because this comes out in 95, and in 97, Money Talks with him and Charlie Sheen. Fifth Element comes out. Jackie Brown comes out. Rush Hour's in 98. So for those couple of years, he was in a lot of stuff. And I'm not sure why he went away, if it was self-imposed. I heard something when John Witherspoon was talking about why he's not back in more. He got like kind of religious and didn't want to be doing movies that had weed smoking in it, which is weird because he's Smokey.
Yeah.
Smoke dog.
Rush Hour 4 comes out next year.
We'll see. Same with Friday 4. Last Friday, I hear is the working title. I've heard that for a few times over the years.
Okay.
But now we don't do any new movies, so this is the time for them to come out.
Yeah.
Let's see part 4 of both of those installations. I want Chris Tucker to be in both.
Okay.
2 final 4s. But I liked him in this. He has all of those lines that were very quotable to me as a 13-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
And most of it all ad-libbed. Some people say all of it ad-libbed, that he didn't do any of the lines.
Oh, wow. That would be annoying as like a director.
But he also carries the movie, really.
He did a good job with what he actually ended up saying.
Does he annoy you?
I think he would be annoying to be around.
Yeah, like Smokey the person.
Yeah.
But when it's in a movie, you're like, it's all right, because I can turn it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
And because Ice Cube's like straight man was like kind of tamped it down a little bit.
Sure.
It wasn't like if they
Great
were
duo.
both like Smokey. Yeah, I don't know that I would have made it through the movie. It would have been too much.
It would have, like if you had John Leguizamo playing Craig. Oh God, it would just be constant. Although you don't know wacky John Leguizamo either.
Not really.
This was just a whole era and group of like a whole side of the world that I think you don't know about. Maybe it should all be 90s comedies that don't star white people. That'll be all the things I bring to you. And you'll be like, what's going on here? Who are these people?
Who are these people? Who even are you?
Because you also didn't know who Bernie Mac was.
No.
Okay.
I feel like I'm bad at this game.
Maybe you've seen a bunch of Bernie Mac movies and had no idea.
Yeah.
Probably
well, he
not.
was in Ocean's 12, so I saw that. Oh,
There
he's
you
in
go.
Charlie's Angels. I saw that.
Oh yeah, in Charlie's Angels, didn't he replace Bill Murray?
Did he?
That was a question. I don't know if I've seen either of those actually.
Oh, okay.
Well, maybe that can be your pick next week.
Maybe Bernie Mac is the theme of the month.
What about Bernie Mac? Or did you not even know who he was in this movie?
I didn't really know who he was.
Okay. He plays the pastor in this, which was kind of a small role for someone who's a bigger name.
I didn't feel like I got like a feel for that character because he just kind of pops in.
He has that one scene,
leaves, yeah.
which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
The sin.
Yeah,
bit.
it was pretty funny. It was good. The time that he was on screen, I enjoyed him.
So I'm going to ask you again, who was your favorite little side character? I
liked the sister, Ice Cube's sister, the one played by Regina King.
I think her name's Dana.
And for some reason, Google doesn't have that under her picture. It just has Regina King, but I remembered she was the sister. I liked her. I thought she was fun, like a fun older sister who like has her own thing going on. And like,
was she older? I thought she was younger for some reason.
Younger?
I don't know.
Anyway, she was like a sibling who had their own life.
Sure.
And like didn't really want to be mixed up in the hijinks of her brother.
Yeah.
It felt like a very true sibling relationship of like, I've got my own things to do. Can you go do your own things? Yeah. Get away from me. So I really enjoyed when she was kind of in it and like all of her friends that came around.
My favorite bit of hers was that she sleeps with her head propped up on her hand.
Yes.
So she doesn't ruin her hair.
Oh my God. Okay, so growing up dancing, I did that a few times when you'd have to sleep with curlers in your hair because they hurt. And it was like easier to like prop yourself up all weird. And so I felt that scene because I was like, yeah, I've been there.
That was my favorite bit of hers. And of course, Regina King has gone on to have an amazing career.
She's everywhere.
Both as an actress and now as a director. I think an Oscar-nominated director?
Yeah, wow. I think so.
As we all know, I don't watch movies made in the last year, so I think it was just last year that happened. Yeah,
she's been in a lot of things that I've seen. And I like her in like most of the roles that she does. I think she's very versatile. And she plays a good, strong female role.
You know who else I really liked was Anthony Johnson, who played Ezel, who's like a crackhead.
Yeah.
And you're probably not used to drug addicts being comedic figures in movies either.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah. All these movies always had like a few crackhead characters, and it's not like a tragedy. It's like, yeah, there they go.
I felt very sad for him.
Yeah.
His character made me a little sad. But like I can see why he's in.
Seemed to be having a good time though.
Oh yeah, he seemed to be having a great time. But yeah, it was just kind of. It wasn't my favorite character, but I can see how it fits into this world.
He had a lot of great deliveries. Of course, I think everyone's most remembered one is my neck, my back, my neck and my back. That whole bit. And I think it must have been ad-lib too when he's making the offers and it goes all the way down to like $2 on a hot dog or whatever it is.
Yeah. It's just listing stuff. Yeah, there were some good lines there. I enjoyed Debo as well.
Well, let's get into it. Debo is a character that transcends this movie. Debo is become like a verb. You could say, like, oh, he got deboed. And that means it can mean either getting your chain snatched or just getting knocked the fuck out. Huh. So Debo is big. Debo Samuel, receiver for, well, is it still the 49ers today? He asked for trades. I don't think it's happened yet, though. Receiver, running back, whatever. He's called Debo Samuel because when he was a little kid, he was big. And he was like knocking out other players, so they called him Debo. There are more than one professional athlete named Debo because of Debo in this movie.
Wow, okay.
Debo is big, played by Tiny Zeus Lister, sometimes Tiny Zeus Archibald, sometimes Tom Lister Jr., but whoever he is, he's great. Went on to do so many things.
He's been in a lot of movies.
I'm a very big Tiny Zeus fan. The first movie I made, we put him in the thank yous just for inspiring me. Because this movie meant that much to me.
Wow.
So we're not going to list all of his credits because there's a lot of them.
There's too many to list. We would be here for an hour.
But this will always be what he's known for. I loved this character because it is a one-note character. And I would say a one-note performance, but they found all the little ways to get the most out of it. Like what I love is when he rides up. First of all, you get the Debo theme music, which is very reminiscent of Jaws. Mm-hmm. And you get that squeak on the wheel.
Yeah.
That's such a great little comedic tension, but still a great tension building technique.
It feels ominous.
Yeah, so you get the music and the squeak, and he comes up on his bike. And when he gets off his bike, he doesn't put it up or get the kickstand out. He doesn't throw it down to prove how strong he is. He just gets up and walks away.
Yeah.
Like he was just getting off a chair because he's so indifferent. And that indifference shows me more about his confidence than if he were putting on a show of how strong he is. Because he's like, I don't need to prove anything.
Right.
I don't need to prove anything to anyone. I'm Debo. And little things like that I really enjoyed. How often he shot at a very low angle because he's already huge. And then he's even bigger because of that. That shot kind of, I think it's just of his foot moving on the pedal. All of that I really enjoyed. What'd you like about Debo?
I liked how well he fit the character he was playing. Like the look of this man is just like, I'd be terrified if I didn't even know anything about him.
That's a Debo right there.
And then he's like figured out his place in the world and it's just like really using it to his advantage. So that was fun. And I just feel like if he had been 2 feet shorter, he would have been picked on. But because he was bigger, he got to be this like full character as he was. So yeah, I enjoyed him. I enjoyed when he was on screen. I think it added like a little bit of low stakes danger to the cast because there's like the big stakes of like the drug dealers, but this was like local bully kind of danger.
And to me, this is what the movie always is. Mm-hmm. I'm never like, oh yeah, Friday, that movie where they have to get money for Big Worm. I'm like, that's not in my thoughts. It's Friday, the movie where Craig finally beats up Debo at the end. That seems more like the climax than the drive-by shooting is.
Yeah, I agree.
I also really liked DJ Pooh in the role that he did get playing Red. And he has 2 of my very favorite things. First, when he gets his chain snatched by Debo, and he says, "My grandma gave me that chain," and the way he's like, he's almost crying,
Yeah.
and then he runs away, and his arms.
And
are
that
just...
run was like really ridiculous.
That's still one of the very funniest things to me. He was great in that. Not much screen time, but I really thought he was great, and that was one that made me kind of sad. You were saying about Ezel. I kind of felt that when Red goes to the car and Smokey just says like, "Oh, he's gonna cry in his car."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, he is."
Yeah.
His grandma gave him that chain.
Yeah.
But that's why it felt great when he does get it back at the end.
Yeah, I had like a little cheer.
Oh, and I guess just in case you don't know, DJ Pooh is not like Damian James Pooh. He was a DJ. I think his real name is Mark Jordan. He produced songs for like Tupac, Snoop, Dr. Dre, LL Cool J. So he was big. Mm-hmm. But I think now a lot of people don't know him as well. But maybe they all know him as Red from Friday, which is not bad either.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. There's so many good names in this cast.
Oh, who else?
Oh no, I just meant like the nicknames and stuff are fun.
Like whom?
Oh, I didn't have a list.
Big Perm? Let's talk a little about Big Worm.
Sure.
So I was saying, and it's Faison Love. Do you know, when you saw him, did you recognize him?
No.
So he's young in this. I know Big Worm. And then I knew about Faison Love and the stuff he's been in. It was pretty late in the game before I realized that Faison Love was Big Worm, because he usually never has hair. And he's wearing, of course, that like silly wig.
Right.
But you'll probably know him up from Elf and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Oh. He was in the Step Up TV show.
Oh, okay.
He's in Detroiters. He was Farmer Zach in that. I know that's not big to other people, but we like Detroiters.
Okay, so I did not recognize him, but yeah, he's been in a lot of things that I've seen.
You'll probably recognize all the other things he's been in and then go like, oh, that's the same guy, because he doesn't look like him.
Yeah.
Because he's a lot bigger after this, too.
Now, yeah.
My Name is Earl. He was a reverend in that episode.
Oh, yeah. Elf.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of things. He's had quite the career as well. But I definitely wouldn't have recognized him in this movie.
I loved his delivery in this one as well. He doesn't get as many great catchphrases as everyone else, but still, I do love when he's in his ice cream truck, a kid gives him money and then he's just going to leave. And he goes, like, then give me my money back. And he goes, this is my money. And then drives off. I thought that was very funny too, just robbing the 7-year-old.
Yeah. I liked the idea of a drug dealer, like a violent drug dealer.
Yeah, who also has an ice cream truck.
Just has an ice cream truck. Just selling ice cream to kids.
That's how you can deal drugs out in the open.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
He didn't have any ice cream for the kids. I wonder if he has any, if there is ice cream. Oh. Because nobody got any, right?
No, I don't think so.
Not that we saw.
Huh. Yeah, because there was no ice cream. Yeah, he was a fun one. And menacing, but not very menacing at the same time.
Yeah, when they actually send like gunmen, I was like, oh shit. This doesn't seem like Big Worm. He seemed like way lower than that.
He has people to do his...
I didn't know that he was that big time, that he has multiple hired gunmen.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a barrage of guns. So I liked the juxtaposition of him. Like, he seems like a nice enough guy to like have a conversation with your mom. But
oh, does he? Maybe your mom would be more open to it. I don't think I'd let my mom talk to Big Worm.
No, you're right. Your mom would probably not do well talking to Big Worm.
He's like a bad guy. He's mean and stuff. He's never really like light and jokey or anything.
He just
looks ridiculous.
Yes.
2 great automobiles.
Yeah.
Because he has that lowered, I don't even remember which car it was, but it has Big Worm on the back, and then he has the ice cream truck.
Ice cream truck is it's a fun vehicle to have.
Angela Means playing Felicia was a lot of fun. For whatever reason, I saw like a video, I think it's of her son, just like talking about growing up with her, and she was just like a real great mom. Oh. I don't know if she acted much outside of this.
Yeah, she was kind of, I didn't really understand her character.
How so?
I don't know. I just didn't really understand it. I didn't really understand how she fit in with everyone and like who she really was. So
like deep in her heart, or who she actually was in the world of this movie?
Who she actually was in the world of this movie.
She's another drug addict, and also Nia Long's sister, Nia Long, Debbie.
Yeah.
And has something going on with Debo as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't feel like she really fit with the rest of the cast.
What do you mean?
Like, she just didn't, like, everybody else seemed to, like, have a real purpose in this. And she just kind of seemed like an extra character in this, like, world. And didn't really, I don't know, it didn't really seem like she moved the plot along like everyone else did.
She was accused of taking the money.
Yeah.
And then she gets hit, which is what the final straw is for Craig fighting Debo. And you finally got to see what Bye Felicia's from.
Yeah.
I still don't understand how that's the phrase that people know from this.
Yeah.
Without knowing the movie, because it's very dependent on the movie, because it's just saying goodbye to a character in it.
Yeah.
So it's a weird one that's transcended. I don't quite get it.
I don't really understand how it, like, made it into, like, common speak.
Yeah, into your world. But I did like how she asked to borrow the microwave.
Yeah.
And a VCR.
Yeah.
And Craig does that fourth wall break where he just looks at the camera like, can you believe this?
I liked the mom, Mrs. Jones. I liked her. She was like a fun, big character.
She just seems like just a mom out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Just trying to keep everybody.
Like this may be the single most believable character, really.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I felt like she cared about her kids and like really understood the neighborhood, but also didn't want them to like mix in that, like what was happening in the neighborhood.
I like the scene where, because she only has a couple of scenes.
Yeah.
But one where she's talking about all the things she's making for breakfast. And then Craig's like, where's mine? She's like, well, this is for me. I got a job. That was funny.
That was
And
funny.
then when she's leaving, it's Miss Parker across the street. She's like, oh, Lord, what's she wearing now? And then she goes, hey, girl.
Yeah.
That switch I thought was very funny.
Oh, it's classic.
Apparently she was cast in this because she was one of what do they call, like Bob's Beauties from The Price is Right.
Oh.
She just would like show a microwave or whatever it is.
Yeah, you're just on the turntable.
Yeah, and then one of the people making it's like, oh, we need her. And that was it.
Oh.
That's how she got it.
Oh, that's fun. I like that.
John Witherspoon plays Mr. Jones. You might not be familiar with him, but he is very well known as well and had done a lot of movies and is a comedian. And he gives another like a big performance.
Yeah, I didn't love his character.
Too much mouth work.
Oh, God. You know how I feel about chewing sounds.
Oh, yeah, you're not going to like that.
That started out the movie kind of on a bad foot for me because I was like, I just need this scene to end.
And then Nia Long plays Debbie. Also had a great career after this, but kind of the person I have the least to say about because she doesn't get any of the funny lines.
Yeah, she was just kind of along for the ride.
She's there. She's good. She's sweet. She has like one scene where she can kind of act a little bit more when she confronts Debo about hitting Felicia.
Right. Yeah. But like other than that, she's just there. She's friends.
She's just sweet.
She's around. She's a friend who's in the house.
Looking good, running by.
Yeah.
I like that scene too. The hey, as
Yeah.
they watch her, and you can tell that they're seeing her in slow motion too.
Yes. Yeah. That was very funny.
And she gets a bit of a theme song too. She gets that "I Want to Get Next to You" song, plays whenever she's around.
Oh yeah.
Debo has his. Craig's girlfriend, I think Joy is her name.
Yeah.
She gets that 2 Live Crew song, the hood rat, hoochie mama.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's some good music in this.
Oh, there is some great music in this. We should probably just mention the Friday soundtrack that has the song Friday from Ice Cube, Friday Night from Scarface, Keep Their Heads Ringing, Dr. Dre. I owned this, I think I had it on tape.
Tape.
I might have had the tape of this.
Wow.
The cassette. There's some Rick James, Mary Jane by Rick James. Bootsy Collins was in this. Mm-hmm. And then not even on the CD, you still had some Curtis Mayfield and some Hidden Faces. The great songs that weren't actually on the soundtrack,
right.
but still Such a good soundtrack.
I felt like the music really added to like the ambiance of the movie and to kind of describe who these characters were and to like remind you who they are, because this is like quite a large cast for a movie that takes place in like one city block.
Yeah, it's kind of like a sketch comedy show
Yeah.
a little bit. It's like, here's our two hosts, and now what wacky things happening over here? Let's see how Debo's doing now. And it's just going through this cast of characters. And I think that's what people maybe don't like about the movie, but what I do is that it is about this community. And it's kind of just like, hey, it's Friday. I'm going to introduce you to all of the wacky figures around here.
And like people are out and about because it's Friday night. And so you just get little pop-ins from people. And yeah, the cast was like very large for such a small area that the movie takes place in.
And it's pretty efficient right off the beginning of introducing you to those characters, because it starts with that voiceover. And in the director's cut, we get some voiceover of characters we don't get in the regular cut.
Oh.
So it's just the family that he talks about in
Right.
the theatrical release. Are dog catchers still a thing?
I know like animal control is a thing.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone is employed just strictly as a dog catcher.
I don't think so.
Would dog catchers also be called if there's like a raccoon or something?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because from 90s and 80s cartoons, it seems like dog catchers were a very specific job that just caught dogs.
You just drive around and look for stray dogs.
Yeah. Was there like a huge rogue dog
That's what
problem
I
in the
was
past?
wondering. Because, like, yeah, dog catchers don't really exist now in the sense of like driving around and looking for dogs. I feel like maybe there was more dogs just running free in the 90s.
Just like the white dog poop. Remember how there used to be white dog poop?
No,
It's gone. Maybe you're too young.
maybe.
Ask your parents.
Okay. I'll get right on that.
Hey, Mom, do you remember white dog poop?
Yeah.
Sarah Silverman has a whole song about it.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you learn something new every day.
It was because there used to be a chemical in dog food that they no longer put in there.
Oh,
But dog poop used to be white.
that's weird.
Yeah.
Huh. Gross.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about dog poop.
Well, here we are. Yeah, I just love all of these side characters that aren't really necessary, but we get a little glimpse of, because that's the point of the
neighborhood.
movie. It's less plot driven and not even character driven, but I think that's kind of the lasting appeal. It's a time capsule of, this was a time, this is a regular day. Let's meet all of these people.
Yeah.
It's clearly not anything close to documentary or trying to make it feel like one at all. It's all heightened and silly and fun, but it does feel like it gives you a realistic glimpse into people, even though these aren't them here. These are caricatures of a time, of a place.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I liked how they made it seem like a very like normal neighborhood, and you got glimpses into things that you like might not notice if you didn't know the neighborhood. Like if you were just driving through, you might just be like, oh, people are sitting on their front porch, and like you don't know all the like backstory on these people that you kind of learn throughout the movie, like the across the street neighbors with the woman who gets like kicked out by her husband.
Oh, Mrs. Parker.
You get like all of that drama that you wouldn't necessarily know about if you were just like driving through the neighborhood.
On my notes, I just have written cereal, yeah. But what that is he opens up the drawer and goes, yeah.
Yeah.
I used that bit. That stood out so much. I've made more than one movie where a character opens up a drawer, sees food they like, and goes, yeah. And I feel like...
I think you've done that.
Yeah, of course.
Just in like everyday life.
That's what you do when you're happy about cereal.
Yeah.
About Crunchies.
You do love cereal.
This is why this movie speaks to me.
Because you love cereal so much?
Just like Craig.
Yeah.
I also have written, Debo is one of the greatest villains in cinematic history. And I mean it.
Hey,
He's iconic.
I like Debo.
Someone that's gone from this small movie, small role, and has such a cultural presence today.
Yeah.
It's like Darth Vader stuff. But Darth Vader's like forced down your throat now. We don't have a bunch of prequels about what about when Debo was a little kid?
Yeah.
He was just a little boy until someone pushed him too far. No, we don't have that. Just Debo. We don't need anything else. I also really liked, there's a point where it's that Rick James song, Mary Jane, just playing over a montage of them just hanging out.
Yeah.
When they're just like, you know what, let's just hang out for a bit. We don't need, there's already not much of a plot, but let's not even address what there is and let's just hang out. And I think that's kind of the appeal of the movie. It's like you feel like you're just hanging out with someone.
Yeah. It just seems like friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then when there's a bit of a turn later and we get like really surprising fatherly advice and kind of a more serious moment when John Witherspoon's character finds the gun, and there's actually like a really strong anti-gun message in this too. Yeah.
I liked, that's the one thing with John Witherspoon that I liked was he was like, no, real men use fists.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you're gonna fight someone or if you like have to stand up for yourself, don't use a gun.
And I did also appreciate that had this movie been made maybe in a different time or by different people and not people kind of the community represented in the film, it's not a, you know what, you don't need that. You're gonna use your words, use your brain. That's how you get out of here. It was something that was kind of in between what all of the movies of the time were showing. A lot of those movies didn't necessarily glamorize violence, but depicted everything as gun violence being integral to life there. Or there's ones where it's like, no, you're just going to be the bigger man. You're going to get out of here by playing baseball or whatever it is. Right. You had those two things. And this is putting it at a much more attainable actual goal, because a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, I can't throw a ball 100 miles an hour, so I'm not getting out because of that. That's not my thing. And this is providing a middle ground of like, oh, you can still fight a guy. Just don't use guns. And the people, I think that is a message that is maybe more conceivable for a lot of people who would be in that situation. If you feel like my life might be in danger or this guy's going to beat me up, yeah, maybe it's great to try to talk your way out of it. Absolutely. Nonviolence is the way. But if that's not working, saying fight a guy, don't shoot him is a pretty good message too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's kind of surprising coming out of Craig's dad because of who he's been up to this point.
Yeah. Yeah. That was like a heartwarming little moment that I actually did like his character in that moment.
And still let him make the choice.
Yeah.
Didn't say, give me that gun right now or anything like that. He just said, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
I lost a brother to gun violence. I'm not losing a son.
Yeah. Yeah, you get like a little like actual parenting moment there.
And then when the fight comes, again, it's not like perfect, heroic Craig because he puts down the gun. He doesn't say like, all right, now I'm going to just fight you. No, he still fights dirty, but he doesn't kill him.
Right.
He hits him with a brick, which I don't know if he did die. I don't know. You might be able to talk it down to manslaughter. But still, like, you still hit him with a brick, which is pretty rough. But yeah, I do like the fact that it doesn't say like, oh, Craig just fighting clean could beat up Debo, because clearly that's not the case. This guy's a fucking monster out there. So it's nice that it's realistic in the sense that Craig has to like crack him over the head with a 2x4 to win.
Yeah, I thought that there was, it didn't feel like a movie that had like gratuitous amounts of violence. It felt like
there's hardly any.
Everything in this movie served a purpose and like had a point.
I might disagree with that because I felt like there's so much of this that had no purpose and no point.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it didn't feel out of place or like excess in this movie.
Absolutely.
It all had a place in this movie.
Yeah, maybe the point is just developing this setting more than the plot. Yeah. I think the point of everything was just to expand on the world and to show us what this world's like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I like that the ending too, very realistic in the sense that there wasn't a big dramatic kiss after the fight.
Yeah.
No. He says, like, I'm going to call you tomorrow morning at like 7:30 in the morning.
I liked that.
I loved that. That's great.
It wasn't, yeah, there was no like big romantic ending. It was just like two kids who were like, yeah, I'll call you.
Yeah. And he breaks up with the bad girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah, she seemed terrible.
Did you notice when she's on the phone yelling at him about he went to like the movie or something with someone apparently?
Yeah.
Did you notice how there's a man in her bed behind her?
Oh, no, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, there is. There's a guy laying in the bed.
Oh, that's funny. Huh.
Well, I don't know. I think we don't want to talk about this movie too much because I think that's the fun of it. Let's not dissect it so much more. So, Sam, what are your final thoughts on Friday?
I thought it was like fun. It was an interesting look into this world that I don't know a lot about. I feel like I don't have like a lot of knowledge on this. I laughed a few times during it.
I laughed a few times during it. We will put that on the DVD re-release.
Perfect.
And when you were saying that, oh, it's a world you don't know much about, but when you see so many movies that take place in Los Angeles, in like Beverly Hills. You watch a lot of movies that take place in Beverly Hills. And that's not a world you know either, but it's interesting how much of these worlds we take from movies.
Yeah.
Right? And if you'd only seen Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society and Juice and movies which are realistic and gritty, but still only shows you one side of an entire community.
Yeah.
That's all you would know of it. So I think that's part of why this is actually an important movie, not just a very rewatchable one. I think it's a very rewatchable because it has so many things that make it a very easy watch. Like it's 90 minutes long, the theatrical version.
Yeah.
It's a summer movie, and summer movies are different than winter movies or like some other season or where it doesn't feel like any season. In a summer movie, it feels like something you can watch on a Saturday afternoon, which you can't do for a movie if it's like snowing in it.
Yeah.
Summer movies are just easier to rewatch, I find.
I think they did a really good job also of making sure you knew how summer, like how hot it was. Felt like I knew the temperature at all times.
Can you think of anything that made you feel that?
Like you just got the idea that like, yeah, it's hot.
And I bet it's just because it was and they were actually doing the thing. So it probably just looks hot because it was hot.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a good part of it.
Probably, yeah.
But there is something to the look of this movie that it's just like you can look at a scene. And of course, in this neighborhood, it's probably looks like our summer all the time. But when you look at this movie, you're like, oh yeah, it's a summer day.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's that. It's a buddy film that makes it really rewatchable too, because it feels like you're just hanging out with your friends. So you watch it with your friends, or if you're very lonely, maybe these are your friends.
Yeah.
Just hanging out with Smokey and Craig. It's so quotable. There's so many that I have from it, but it was always weird to me because I didn't know Bye Felicia made it outside of the movie until like just a few years ago. And then I asked them, like, why do you say that? And they're like, well, I don't know. It's just a thing you say.
Yeah.
I didn't really realize that it came from this.
I feel like most people don't know the reference.
That's
I
so
didn't.
weird.
I don't know that I've ever said it, but I've definitely heard people say it.
And then I think with that rewatchability, you get that kind of cult following that this movie does have. But I do think it's kind of a little bit bigger than that because it is a film about growing up. In this case, about like being a man. And in the past, so many other movies in the same setting would always be about like, oh, be a man and put down that gun and pick up a book and you're going to get a scholarship and get out of here. Or about murdering someone back. And then this is just kind of a middle ground. This movie said something that a lot of other movies don't, of just, you can just be a guy.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a celebrity or a drug dealer. You can be a dog catcher. You can work at the hair salon. You can just be a guy. Everything doesn't have to be in these huge extremes. Just like life in the movie wasn't about the huge extremes. It's just like, here's just a Friday. And I think that's what I like about it a lot.
Yeah, I like that like summary of your thoughts. It's just a Friday.
But after this Friday, the neighborhood will never be the same.
No.
I should have got you to smoke with I know you don't smoke. I know this. But today I'm going to get you high. Because it's Friday. It's the day before the weekend. You ain't got shit to do.
No shit to do. Well, that's the end of Friday. It's almost Saturday.
Oh.
That's what one of the sequels should be called.
Yeah, they should have been called Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah.
But it's Friday, next Friday, Friday after next, which I think is the worst title.
Yeah.
And I think the working title of the next one is Last Friday.
Right. Well, we will see you next week when we do a rebroadcast of a past episode. And then the week after, I will be revealing what our big watch is for the week after.
Ooh, and we'll release something good. Don't worry about it. And we have 300 episodes, so you probably haven't heard this one anyway.
Exactly. It's like a bonus. A little bonus for you.
Go listen to it.
You don't have to dig through all the episodes. Okay, we'll see you next week.
Bye. Everyone.